I'm John Anderson. Meet my co-hosts, Nick Best and Akeem Williams. We're going to have some amazing guests on the show. Buckle up tight, because we're going to be talking about the shit you're not supposed to be talking about. We're going to be discussing anything and everything it takes to become a Legend of Iron.
Legends of Iron is brought to you by Muscle Mints. Muscle Mints is the creator of Carnivore Pure Beef Protein Icing. Beef builds muscle, and Carnivore is the world's #1 selling beef protein. And don't forget to try our new Carnivore flavor, Rocket Pop.
Oh, damn! Whoa, this is it right here.
Wow, this is protein? Delicious.
This is too good to be protein. Woo, we about to change the game with this one.
You're gonna love it. Welcome to another edition of Legends of Iron. I am John Anderson. With me, always my partners in crime, Nick Best and Akeem Williams. We have got a killer show for you today. We have got one of the greats, no question about it. He has been strong from the jump, and I'm talking about strong from the time he was little. Straight up extreme honors in anything he has ever done strength. We are happy to welcome Jerry Pritchett. Welcome to the show, brother. How are you today?
Good, man. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. There's with a show named Legends of Iron, it would be absolutely silly not to have you on the show, probably more than once. So this is round one.
Yeah. Cool. That's good.
Right on. Well, brother, take us back. I mean, you started off, you were strong from the beginning, but obviously everybody knows the Jerry Pritchett of today, television and whatnot. But talk to us about, what was it that inspired you to start, and talk to us about some of those early experiences that weren't captured on television.
So, I started, of course, middle school, 13, 14, little weights at the house, playing around like most of us did. And then when I was 15, after my my first go of freshman football, we decided, a buddy of mine, we decided at a gym just to go get stronger, bigger, stronger for football. And ended up going to a powerlifting gym, Thorbeck's, which had some history years ago with John Cole, and first guy to squat over 900 pounds, and so they had some history in place for powerlifting, and walked in there literally on a Monday to just start training to get bigger and stronger for football. And the guy that ran it was a powerlifter time. He was, I think he's still ranked top 50 for 165s, 148s. Had a almost 700-pound pull back in the 80s. But he said, I'm putting on a teenage nationals this Saturday. He said, a couple guys from your high school are doing it. You want to do it? And a buddy of mine that went in with me, he wasn't interested. And I said, yeah, sure, what do I got to do? He said, so I got the quick overview of this is how you bench, this is how you deadlift, this is how you squat. I trained every day of that week. I think I walked in the gym on that Friday before the meet. And he goes, what the hell are you doing here? I said, here to train. He goes, you're doing a meet tomorrow. Get the hell out of here. Go home and eat, sleep. Okay,
so I'm sorry to interrupt you, brother. So you're talking about you didn't know how to lift yet, and you were basically going to this meet.
I didn't know anything. I said I built around at home. I walked in the gym that Monday, and he said, I'm doing a meet Saturday. And I got the brief overview of how to squat, bench, and deadlift. Trained every day that week except for the Friday. He sent me home. Walked in the meet that Saturday and instantly fell in love with the sport. I up at that point, I'd been around auto racing and then had done football. And then I did that first powerlifting meet and it was instantly loved. Like this is cool. This is all on me. Football, you can have the best game of your life, and quarterback or somebody else has a bad game, you guys lose. Powerlifting, strongman, anything with strength athletics, it's all on you. You get what you put in the sport. You see the results, and I instantly loved it. And probably one of the best things I always said that happened to me is a couple of guys that from my high school did that meet. And back then you had to have a qualifying total to go to Junior Olympics. And I didn't hit the qualifying total, but those guys did. And it pissed me off. So I spent every day, in the gym. I didn't miss that next year. And then the next year, I qualified for Junior Olympics. Went 3 times as a teenager, won gold 3 times, and then the powerlifting on away for Strongman. But yeah, that was my kind of trial by fire. Just got through right in my first meet, literally after a week in the gym, and instantly fell in love with sport. And then in 08, I had the chance to do found a Strongman here in town. And then, so went and, did the Strongman, and a buddy of mine, we trained together forever. I kind of implemented some Strongman movements into our powerlifting training because we were seeing some results.
So how old are you now? Are you still 16 and starting to move into Strongman at 16, or has a little time passed?
No, so that was 96. I was 15 when I started powerlifting. And
excuse me, 15.
Powerlifting, and I've always done 15. And then, in 08, so I was 27, 28 when I started Strongman.
Now
question. Strongman.
Question at your first meet.
Yeah.
Do you remember the total in terms of your bench, your squat, your deadlift?
So I believe I benched about 165, squatted somewhere about 240, and deadlifted 380.
Wow.
For the first meet.
And that's for somebody that's never done that before.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
It was probably about 197, 200 pounds, 201, somewhere in there.
Yeah.
And then
deadlifting right out of the box.
Yeah. Well, I grew up in a fab shop, moving steel around my dad's fab shop. So deadlift kind of came natural, picking something heavy up.
This is a great kind of understanding of why you became such a monster deadlifter. I mean, hands down, one of the best deadlifters on the planet. And how it was even developed before you touched the bar, carrying around metal in the fabrication shop. What kind of stuff were you carrying around? Like big awkward pieces of metal that you'd even translate perfectly to Strongman?
Pieces of equipment, just heavy pieces of steel around the shop, just the welding cylinders, everything. I started working in the fab shop. I grew up in a fab shop, but I literally started working in the fab shop when I was 12. So I was moving around steel all the time. And then we did race cars. It ended up becoming a joke at the racetrack. If we were changing a tire, I'd grab the front of the sprint car and pick it up. And just, we don't need a jack. We've got Jerry. Don't just pick the car.
That's beautiful.
Just came natural. Just working. And then it's obviously evolved from there through the years, but.
So let's go back to that early part of powerlifting. You did your first meet literally after a week of training. You must have obviously, let's fast forward 1 year. So what did you do that following year for the qualifier? How much progress had you made in a year from 15 to 16?
So I believe I pulled somewhere around 500 pounds. Squat, I don't remember. Maybe high threes, somewhere in there. And bench was always behind for me. I was tall, lanky, long arms, so bench always took a while for kind of bench to come along. But deadlift climbed pretty fast. Because I think when I was, remember the last Junior Olympics I did, I think I pulled somewhere around 675, and then 2 weeks later I did a nationals in California, pulled 705, and that was about 18.
God damn! You're a 700-pound deadlifter as a teenager. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Oh, that's got to fit into some crazy record. I mean, holy shit! I don't think I've ever heard of an 18-year-old pulling 700 pounds. I mean, do you know, Jerry? Is that that's probably some record that's going to be locked away for decades to come?
Yeah, I don't think
that's
too
crazy.
many. Yeah.
God dang! So at this time, how tall are you at this point?
About almost the height I am now. I got a big growth spurt around seventh grade. Grew a little bit through eighth. By the time I was a freshman, I've been about the same height since. Big thing is just gain weight. It's like my freshman year, I was about almost 200 pounds. I walked into my sophomore year about 215, 220. In my junior years, when I really put on some weight, I walked in at 265. Then my senior year, I was 275. And then I graduated at 298. I was trying to get to 300 pounds before I graduated. I didn't hit 300 pounds the week after graduation.
Dude, you were like a high school coach's dream.
Yeah. Except Except I had a very bad attitude by the end of my high school, so I didn't get along with football coaches too well, unfortunately. That was part of, in the gym, by the time, I was a junior, I was the strongest guy in the powerlifting gym. So, for a football coach to yell and try to intimidate me, it wasn't going to work.
Yeah.
So it wasn't my senior year, the one football coach, he was an ornery bastard, and we finally saw eye to eye. He literally got in front of me one practice and was like, hit me. I'm like, this guy doesn't want me to hit me. He was just an ornery Irishman. And I kind of half-assed come off the ball and popped him, and he goes, I said hit me. And after about the third time of him yelling at me, I laid into him pretty hard. And he went back about 5 yards. I remember the lineman coach caught him. And as soon as he caught him, he goes, yeah, that's how you hit. And I'm like, so we got along fine. So the other coaches truly caught him. Me and him got along fine. We had an understanding, So like he would kind of handle me. Then the other coaches didn't even bother at that point. But I heard a lot of respect. He got in front of me, took a pretty big hit from, and I started my senior year. I was 275, and by far the strongest guy in the gym. Oh,
yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy. So obviously you're playing football, but you really were in love with weight training, correct?
Yeah, I said, football is what took me into the gym. But once I did that first meet, I was there for powerlifting and stronger. Then that was my love then, and then football was just kind of really going through motions. I was good at football, had the opportunity to really probably carry it further, but I just didn't have the interest in going to school, and and I just wanted to lift at that point too. So every time I get done with the football season, I'd be kind of pissed off about what I lost, from what I went into the season, and it was like, how it is. You play football and that. You're here going in. The time you come out after all that season, your lifts go down. So every beginning of a season, I catch back up to get where I was at. And so kind of when I was done with football, I was like just full bore power.
Right back.
Crazy, bro. So check this out. So when think of the two of us in high school, we were like the polar opposites. You were the guy that I was dreaming to be, but I was just this pathetic little fat sucker that hadn't hit puberty yet. So here's the question. So when I was getting picked on and getting stacked on the lockers, were you part of the people that came to save me, or part of the people that were stacking me on the lockers? Which group were you in?
Maybe save, or I just let you defend yourself. I don't know. It wouldn't be the one stacking on the lockers, though. I didn't mess with anybody that way. I just take any shit from anyone. I didn't go out to bully or mess with anybody. As long as you didn't give me shit, we didn't have any problems. And like one of the guys, other guys my age, I had really zero problems in high school. Ones that I didn't get along with was football coaches, because especially back then, how football coaches, how they taught at that level was trying to intimidate guys. Which a lot of guys it worked. Well, it didn't work for me. I said I trained with seasoned powerlifters in a powerlifting gym, and I was the strongest there. So some football coach that is acting like he had some kind of football career is going to try to intimidate me. That wasn't
well, you got to work.
Yeah. That's crazy, brother. So I mean, you really, I mean, you came out of the gate as a beast. You've been a beast your whole life. I mean, that's this. So obviously, powerlifting's here. You did well. Love powerlifting.
I really dedicate for all of it to.
Go ahead. I'm sorry, brother.
Yeah, I dedicate always just growing up in the fab shop. Just, watching. My old man worked 16, 17-hour days. That was nothing. Back then. In the fab shop. So I everything I've done through strength athletics, I owe to that upbringing in that fab shop. That hard work. Because
that's cool, brother.
This moving iron and strongman and powerlifting, not easy. You're beat up, and it's not for the faint of heart to do it. So you have to have that toughness going into the sport to be good at it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
agreed.
For sure. So you said you turned the corner of strongman in the mid-'90s. So kind of talk to us how as obviously there was a period before you started hitting the TV. Talk us through the timeline before you kind of made it to the elite.
Yeah, so I did the first Strongman in 2008. It was quite a while after I started powerlifting. I just, back then there wasn't social media or anything to find out where things were. I mean, back when I started powerlifting, you guys know that how you found out about meets was in the back of Powerlifting USA. Looking at the back and see who posted what meets were coming up. You didn't go on social media and see who had a meet.
True.
Yeah, I was just way
Monthly magazine.
And so I didn't where I was at here in Phoenix. There was just nothing going on for Strongman at the time, and so I really didn't know how to get into it. And then it wasn't until 2008 there was a local one here in town that I jumped into and did it. And at the time I was actually even kind of, for a while I even kind of backed off power. I was still powerlifting, but not as serious. I grew up on race cars, and I always wanted to drive a sprint car. So I built my own sprint car, and I started racing at the time. I was still doing a little bit of powerlifting. And then that Strongman
You
came
drove
about,
a sprint car.
and so I think I'm gonna,
How did you fit into a sprint car, brother? How did you get in there? Did the top of the roll cage come off to get?
At the time, I was
very, very tight. How big was the track? Was it like a 3/8 of a mile or a quarter mile or a half mile? Because those turns come up stupid fast on a 3/8 of a mile track.
Yeah, we're primarily 3/8 mile. Then we have the one track here's a half mile. Yeah.
So you're going 90 miles an hour in a car with a stagger. Did you have the wing or the no wings on the front?
I ran non-wing.
So you don't stick to the ground as well either. That's nuts.
Yeah,
dude.
no. Yeah.
That's nuts. I've hopped that.
The first Strongman I did in 08, I had my truck and trailer in the parking lot, and after the comp, I drove to the racetrack and raced that night. And I tell the story because about halfway through the main event, we had a yellow flag, and my fucking back is killing me. And I remember using the shoulder harness so I could try to stretch and see because my back's fucking killing me from the Strongman. And we're putting along. Well, when you're up speed, the adrenaline, you don't feel it, So the light blinks, pull the lap belts back down, and then there you go. Then adrenaline's up, you don't really notice it. But man, I couldn't wait for that race to be over with. My back was killing me. Against Strongman, especially first Strongman I had done, and then to get strapped in the seat that night to race, and it was rough.
That's crazy.
So you did your first Strongman competition. Kind of talk us through the Strongman timeline.
So that was May of 08. I did that first one. I did another one in New Mexico, and I was second. I was really losing them because of stones. I had never touched stones. And I remember the first one I did chalked up, cupped the stone, 300-pound stone, just set it over the bar. And I remember that the guys that had ran it came over. They go, "You can't do that." So what do you mean I can't do that? I just did it. They said, "You're going to tear a bicep. You can't do that shit." So then they kind of showed me some techniques on how to do it. And so I did the next one in New Mexico, and again second. I lost on the damn stone. So then it was like, all right, I got to make a stone. So we made a couple stones, and then I did another one. And then at the time I really couldn't, financial spot I was in, I really couldn't afford to be racing. And so it was, and the Strongman was started, and I was like, I think if I dedicate myself to this, park the race car and go full, training, focus on Strongman, I can do this. So that's what I did. I parked the sprint car, and then I went to the Nationals in 08. Actually met Nick there. He probably doesn't remember. He was in a pool with JJ was a baby back then. At Van Hatfield's Nationals. And we went there, and I'm thinking, I think I'll do okay. And I think I was like 15th, but I zeroed a 280 log. But every one I did, I learned. Like, okay, now I got to do this. Now I got to work on this. So I just evolved from there. So that was 08. I did, more amateur one after another. for the next couple of years. And then at the end of 09, I did California Strongest Man, and I won every event. And so I finally kind of, I feel like I covered the amateur level. And Old Ogden let me do the Fit Expo in January of 10. I competed with Nick and those guys there.
Yep.
And that was the first pro show I did there. And then 2012, I won Nick's Sin City. That was a Giants Live qualifier. Went to my first Giants Live. Was qualified for World's Strongest Man in 2012. And then that next January, I won the Fit Expo in 13. And that put me on the Arnold stage for the first time in Columbus. Yep. And then just evolved from there.
That's crazy. That's a great progression, brother. You went, I mean, you climbed to the top quick, and you're one of those guys that was there's a lot of guys that did well and say World's Strongest Man, but not at the Arnold. You're one of those guys that did well in both, Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I always loved the Arnold. I love the heavy, the Terry Todd, the old school Arnold heavy. I love that. I still think 2017 was the last of the heavy year of the Arnold. We had the 1140 frame up the ramp, the 2 goes at the yoke. The second yoke was 1565. The max deadlift the next day on the elephant bar, I pulled the 1031. We had the 430 Austrian oak that night for reps. I mean, that was a heavy year.
That's an understatement. Heavy years, just super heavy year.
Heavy years, yeah. I mean, all those years were heavy, but I think, honestly, in my opinion, that was the last of the really heavy, where everything was heavy. They still have a heavy event here or there, but everything was heavy. Day one was the 1140 yoke, or the 1140 frame, and then 2 yokes, the 1300, and then the 1565. That was day one. And then you come in Saturday for the max elephant bar deadlift.
That's talk about some serious spine compression in day one.
Oh, yeah.
I love it.
What was the most fun you've had on the deadlift in a strongman contest?
Oh, great question, Nick. I want to hear this.
Probably that one with JF and I and the Hummer Tire at the Shaw Classic, that first Shaw Classic. Man, the energy in that room that day with him and I just going kind of tit for tat on the Hummer Tire. And then, we broke the world record. Then we chipped it. We broke it again. And then we finally got to 1200. And it was, one of those things, too, kind of like when I pulled the 1031 at the Arnold. It was on a day you never think something like that would happen. It was on day 2. We drove up to Shaw's Mountain Gym to do day 2 after a heavy day 1. As you figure, deadlifts probably won't be very high. And it was just one of those days, that – guys had all dropped out, and then JF and I are just going one after another, just chipping each other, just fun. And then, the whole room, all the guys, just turned into, fans, and the whole room's going nuts, and the energy was, it was fun. It was cool.
Yeah, you could cut that shit with a knife when that stuff shows up. It's like those moments that it's like you cherish those moments for the rest of your life, and they come so out of nowhere. Just like you said, nobody was thinking that day was going to turn out to be the way it was, and look what happened, man.
Yeah, well, it was, when I pulled the 31 at the Arnold and 17 day 2, I remember warming up, and it just didn't feel good. The hamstrings were really tight. I was afraid I was going to tear a hamstring. I put it 921. It moved okay, but hamstrings just won't let go. They're really tight. So we let's go easy. So we went 960 something. Saying it moves okay, but the hamstrings just, I'm pulling cautious because I'm going to lose the hamstring. I knew it. And then, so I looked at the training partner and what do you think? Well, let's go conservative. So I'm 981. Pull 981. All of a sudden, everything opened up. Felt great. And we're walking over to him. I go, dude, we wasted it. We wasted the third attempt. Now we're good. And then that's when Jan Todd walked over. She goes, you want to go with 1031? I'm like, sure, let's go. And like I said, one of those things you told me that Friday night, there's no way. That's the way I felt Friday night after day 1, But there's one of those things, just, get more and more pulls in, and everything starts getting a little better and a little better.
Get loose,
and everything opens up. And
it goes back to carrying shit around to the fab shop, brother. Your posterior chain was been built from the time you were a youngster,
Yeah.
For sure.
That's really cool, brother. That's really cool.
So now,
one of the things
go ahead.
Go ahead. So one of the things we really try to do on the show is really inspire the listeners, you know. So talk to us about, I'm sure, as we all know, in any highly competitive career, there's always those hurdles, those obstacles that you got to get past. Talk to you about one that you went through that you were able to climb over, but it was a challenge, and you know, you get through it and you're like, man, that was the best. So, you know, when you finally get over that big hurdle, it's the best thing that ever happened to you. You know, there's probably a multitude of those in your career. To share one with us so we can kind of inspire some of our listeners here.
Oh man, there's been a bunch. I mean, you go from injuries to all kinds of stuff. You know, I'll go back to when I started, because this, I hear this a lot with, you know, a lot of your lifters, you know, and with powerlifting, strongman, whatever it is. You know, they get a lot of I can't. You know, I can't have this, I have that, whatever. You know, I really had no business competing. You know, I couldn't afford it. With the financial position I was in at the time, you know, things I had going on in life, I shouldn't have been doing it, but it was what I was going to do no matter what. You know, and I can remember going to a pro-am in Dallas, I think in 09. I had $70 in my pocket. I got there, got a ride to the hotel. It cost me $60 to get from the hotel things. I got $10 left. I had to talk to the hotel and to let me check in, to promise that the next day I'm going to have money in my car because I'm going to get a check direct deposit in. So they finally let me check into Motel 6, or whatever the cheapest hotel I'm at, you know, I could find. I go to the Denny's, ordering like the big Grand Slam thing to get some food the night before the contest. And you want a drink? I'm like, how much is a drink? They're like, we'll give you water. I'm like, okay. I had no business being there, and I'm competing the next day, you know. But I didn't think twice about it. Like, that's what I was going to do no matter what. So if it's something you really want, you'll make it happen no matter what it is, whether it's injury, financial, whatever it was, you know. I just made it happen. You know, I remember another program I did in the next year in Orlando. I couldn't afford to go at all. And I had a buddy of mine who worked at a gym, and he said, like literally a few weeks before, he said, hey, they need this pull-up bar rig made. You want to do it? I'm like, shoot, yeah. Literally, I took the side job, went to my dad's shop, stayed up to like 2 o'clock in the morning for a couple nights to finish this thing so I could get the money to buy my airline ticket and book the trip to go to the pro-am. Because like I said, I was whatever it took to get there. Like, whatever I got to do, you know? Yeah. So,
wow.
You want, you make it happen no matter what.
Brother, that is totally awesome and extremely inspiring, because let me tell you, you hit it on the head. There are too many I can'ts. And when you really want to, you find a way, you know, and that's I mean, especially I love the story where you're ordering something off the menu and you're asking how much a drink is, and they're going to give you free. I mean, you were literally watching every penny.
They felt sorry for me. They're like, we'll give you
and I love the part about you convinced the person at the hotel to let you in because you're going to have prize money to direct deposit in the next day. So it was I mean, it wasn't even like you were even guaranteed in a hotel. You had to even maneuver to get into your hotel. That makes it even better. I fucking love it, dude.
Yeah. I was close to sleeping outside that night.
Wow.
How did you do in those contests?
I was second in Dallas. Crusoe just barely got me on stones. And then
those damn stones.
I think I was probably like fifth in Orlando because I wasn't even really training to go. Like, literally, it popped up last minute. I had the money to go, and like, I'm going to go. You know, wasn't prepared for it. Anything. It was like because I couldn't afford it, so I really wasn't planning on it. And all of a sudden, when the thing came available for me to do the side job to do it, all right, I'll go. You know, and I wasn't ready. Like, literally the week before, they had a 410 stone for reps. I found a guy in town, Ryan Bakke. He had one. And I ran up to Ryan's and hit his stone real quick because I didn't even have one at the time to train. You know, like so. But I hear so much like, oh, when is it? I'm not going to be ready. I don't know if I'll do this or that. I'm like, if you want it bad, you just go because everyone you do, you'll learn something about yourself to make you better. You know, and just go do it, make it happen. You know, and that's just what I did.
Brother, I thought I was really, committing stepping over. In the beginning, when I was learning strongman, I didn't have equipment either. So I was driving like 4 hours of direction to get to a place that had equipment. So you're driving 4 hours, 3.5 hours, training 3-4 hours, and driving back home. But you just did what you had to do. It wasn't a question.
Exactly. You didn't think twice of it. You just did it.
This is the only way to do it. So it's time to figure out how to do it. There's no plan B.
Yeah.
That's
I remember driving
whatever it takes to make it happen.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's the way it's always been through anything, whether it's through injuries or anything. Whatever I got to do to get through it, I'll get through it.
What's the nastiest injury that's plagued you so far?
Right now, it's been the one going into Worlds last year with these hips. I torn labrums in both hips going into World's Strongest Man last year. Between that and the bulges in the low back is most pain I've ever been through. That was a rough go.
Wow.
Yeah. That was
I've noticed you bring your deadlift technique in. You brought your feet in a lot. I've noticed you brought your feet in a lot.
My hips can't take the wide right now. So just in order to save the hips while they're healing, because I've had 5 bone marrow treatments. I have 1 on my shoulders and 2 in each hip.
No
to get
shit.
Healed up. I mean, just it's been moving iron since '96, so shit's a little wore out. Trying to just build everything up. So right now, in order to save the hips, I brought the stance in, which has been a big change because I got a lot of power off the floor with that push, but it's getting better. So getting better. But again, whatever it takes, whatever I got to do to get it done. This right now is what I got to do. So I'll move the stance in, save the hips.
That's it. That's it. Whatever it takes, baby. That's some inspiring shit, brother. That's good stuff. That's really good stuff. I'm sorry, Nick. I interrupted you. What were you going to say, brother? You had a question, and I cut you off somehow.
Well, that was it about bringing the stance in the hips and everything else, and then it's like bringing them in that much more narrow. You can bring your hands in though quite a bit too. So that's going to help in areas when you go to lock out and stuff like that.
Yeah, so it's kind of some give and take. I lose that power I got from that big wide push off the floor, but I'm getting the reaction of the bar now, which I didn't get before because I was so wide.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit of a give and take.
Yeah.
I understand.
Do you feel like that? Moving your feet in. Is it really doing a lot to save your hips? Is it going to give you kind of another stage in your deadlifting?
It is, yeah. It's allowing the hips to heal and just it takes the load off. Just that wide, and because a lot of the problems I'm having in my hip is out that wide when the labrums are torn. So it's saving that right now, letting those heal. And the more I do it, the deadlift's coming back. So it's feeling pretty good.
But didn't you say you had a bulge in your lower back? Doesn't that hurt your lower back with going to closer stance?
Yeah, I had three bulges in there last summer. After Worlds last summer, I had bone marrow on both hips, shoulders, and then I had a procedure called disc seal on the low back to heal those bulges.
Okay.
It's something like PRP. They mix like a paste, you put in there where those bulges are to heal them.
Gotcha.
But they can go into specific spots. Is that correct?
Yep. They put it right in.
Stay
It's
in
right
that
where
spot.
that jelly's like ripped and leaking out.
Yeah.
And between the discs, they'll put it right in there to seal that back up.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah.
Because like PRP, when you do it, it spreads all over the place. That
this
stays
thing makes
centralized
it
and
to like
local,
paste.
correct?
It's explained to me. So it's thicker than PRP, but it's somewhere around the same process, somewhat.
Yeah, brother.
How does your back feel now? After
Back
that
feels
procedure?
great.
Okay.
Back feels great. My left hip, it's really good. My right hip is one that's still kind of coming along, but it was the worst wear and tear wise, and there was an impingement in that one. So it's just a little longer coming along, but it's a hell of a lot better than it was. I mean, I was barely dragging my legs around at Worlds last year.
Yeah. Well, brother, let's shift gears. I want to hear all about. Everybody wants to hear all about the mini-me that's coming up. You've got a son who's an absolute monster.
Bubba.
Yes. So talk to us about him. Oh my God. Yes. Talk to us about him. How old is he now?
He's 11. He's 11, and he's literally he's watched and studied the sport since he was a baby. I mean, we'd go out to eat. And most kids are playing video games and stuff, and he's watching World's Strongest Man on YouTube. And he's I think now he literally studies the sport. He can probably tell you more than some of the athletes that are competing about past events and whatnot. But since he was a baby, started walking, he was wanting to lift things. He had a little barbell when he was like a year and a half that I made him. He was deadlifting. And there's a video of him when he was probably 1.5, 2 years old doing a load medley with little push around cars on the couch after watching Worlds. But he's been in the gym since he was 6. And then since he was probably 8, he's been in there. I mean, he trained full time because before it started just go on Saturdays for strongman stuff. And then now he trains with us every day. And he's done several powerlifting meets. He did WABDO Worlds back in October. Deadlifted 275, had 300 off the ground.
Oh my God! Oh my God!
We went last week. He's training with Brian Shaw, and up in his mountain gym, he's got Shaw's big Rogue yoke, and 35, and he goes down and back. I'm like, do you know what you have? He goes, I don't know. So we had to ask.
He just picks it up
what the thing weighed, and we're like, you got 440 pounds. He goes, oh, it's a PR. I mean,
I love it.
Wow.
So he's 11 right now.
I go, you know what you have there? And he'll go, yeah, I got a 25 there and a 30. Like, I can see that. How much weight do you have?
Oh, I love it.
He's like, I don't know if I can pick it up and go.
That's it. He's 11. How much is he
he's
weigh?
going to do in June in California. He's going to do the Teenage Nationals and go with the 13-14 over there.
Nice.
He did one last summer. He went with the 13-15. It was 4th at 10. So yeah, he's got a lot of goals for himself. We'll see. He thinks he's going to be the youngest to go to Giants Live and the youngest to go to Worlds. So
that's impressive, man. Impressive.
Wow,
very
that's
impressive.
Beautiful. How much does he weigh right now?
About 180, 185, and he's
11 years old. Oh my God! I wasn't 185 till I was 18.
He's a big boy.
That's crazy.
Yeah, same. 17 for me. Oh my gosh.
So talk to us a little bit about, here's an interesting question. Talk to us a little bit about his diet. Let's leave your diet aside. Let's talk about Bubba's diet. What are you feeding him?
It's getting to the point here pretty soon that I'm not going to be able to afford for both of us to be pro strongman. Because he likes to eat a lot of steak. So. But yeah, he primarily eats what I eat. Like every night after training, we have steak and rice, and so he eats primarily what we eat. A lot of it's pretty much the same stuff. That's what he likes to eat. So,
he's gonna retire. He's gonna have you retire pretty soon, man.
Yeah, he's gonna have to just afford his diet.
Oh my gosh.
This must be like, I mean, obviously, he was kind of born into this, but for you, this must be like one of the most amazing experiences. Obviously, you're great at this sport that you do. You're a world elite, but to have your boy take such an interest and be coming up underneath, this must be like a whole different kind of level of it just must be amazing. A whole different type of paycheck, so to speak. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's really cool. And the biggest thing is just to see how much passion he has for it and drive. Yeah. I mean, if you get his drive in some other athlete's body, I mean, man, he'd have some other amazing strongmen. And so that's probably the coolest thing to see how much drive he has to do it. And it's always been since he wanted to do it. I said, I'm not gonna beg you to wake up in the morning to go to the gym. You're gonna get up and get ready to go, or you're not gonna go. I'm like, because I don't. This is on you. I'm like, you're not training because I want you to train. And that's I tell people like it's on him. Like all he gets from me and the other guys is guidance. That he's going to do it. He's going to do it right and learn the right techniques. And But
smart.
All the push and the drive he puts on himself. That's all him. Which I don't like the how a lot of kids, they get the push of mom and dad want them to do this. Like that's what he wants to do. I just guide him in it.
Yeah,
like you're gonna do it, you're gonna do it right. So
that's
you
so
couldn't
cool
want a better
because,
teacher.
Yeah, I mean he's your boy. He's got all this passion. He wants to do it. So you're like, clearly you're not pushing him. It must be such a. I mean, I can only imagine how that must be. I only have girls, so I didn't have any boys. But if I did have a boy, for him to take interest in what I was doing would have been a whole different level. It would have made it so special. So I envy you, brother. That's really cool. Really, really cool.
I know it's a lot of fun because he's just become another one of the training partners to the rest of the crew.
John. You got to be careful, man, because all our female listeners, they're gonna be like, "What's going on here?"
Brother, we don't have female listeners. Are you kidding me? Come on. Let's be honest. Let's real quick look at all of our social media. Hit that button where it says men to female ratio. I guarantee all of us are under 10% female.
Yeah.
Guarantee.
11.
Okay. Yeah. So we're not catering to females here.
No.
And for those of you that are listening, I apologize. I'm not trying to push you aside, but the majority of who we're talking to are men here. Let's be honest. Well, it's going to be a whole lot of fun to watch him come up. It's going to be amazing to watch him come up, brother. Totally awesome. Yeah. Really, really cool. So let's go into some fun questions here.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead, please. I want to hear about him. I love hearing about him.
Oh, we joke at the gym, like he doesn't even know because he's
oh no, we lost him.
He is puberty, his natural testosterone hits and all that. I'm like, dude, man, your lifts are going to do this from the base that you have now. Like he doesn't even know yet what his body's going to do in the next couple of years.
Oh yeah,
he's got such a base, and everything's gonna be so conditioned that it's gonna skyrocket. It's gonna be
when he hits 14 to 15, that's gonna be fun.
Oh my god. Oh yeah.
14 to 15, that seems like the age.
That's just big. Yeah.
11 years old at 185. He's gonna be like you. He's gonna be a 300-pounder. Probably before the end of high school, I would imagine.
Oh, probably before because he's much bigger than I was as a kid. I wasn't. Especially his joints, his bones. He's bigger than I was.
Big kid.
And then his 2-year checkup. They kind of project height. They project him to be 6'6", 6'7". So
wow.
Oh boy. We gotta. I mean, this is like. I mean, if you think about it, you look at some of the greatest of all time. They weren't starting at this age.
No,
and they didn't have a dad that was teaching them. I mean, his goals of being the youngest to break all of these, to have all these titles. This is real. This is not just some sort of a kid, hoping. I mean, he's got a head start on everything.
Yeah, no, he's dead set that he's going to go to Giants Live at 16, 17. So,
wow.
God, that's going to be fun to watch, brother. Fun to watch. Yeah, totally cool. So let's switch gears in terms of. So let's talk about in the current state of strongman. Who do you believe are the top 5? If you had to rank, not only top 5, but put them in numerical order.
Ooh, that's a tough one. Depending on the given day and the events, things can shift from probably 10 to 12 guys.
So just think if you had to think just strongman in general. If you just think of, granted, if you just took,
you definitely got to put. You got to put Martins up there. Obviously, Martins has done really well the last couple of shows. Martins, Shaw's, still Shaw. So you still got to put him in that top 5. And then there's some other new guys that are kind of battling up there that has some really strong lifts. But Novikov, like well-rounded guys, definitely Novikov. Definitely JF was in that list. he was right up there like the Rogue, and I believe he would have been top 5 of the Arnold if things wouldn't have happened. And then I still, for me back 100%, I'm in that top 5. So
there we go. There we go, baby.
Yeah.
Okay.
2020, I was damn close. So a few things were a little better. So things heal back up. I plan on being back there. So
let's go, baby. That's what I love.
One and then there's young guys that got some huge lifts. They just have maybe a couple holes in there where they don't maybe quite all around. Like Bobby Thompson's got a huge log press. Evan Singleton, his press has come up a bit. His deadlifts come up. He's good at moving events, so he's come a long way. He'll be interested in Worlds this year. See how him go through the heats. There's a lot of good guys right now, and then you got obviously Tom Stolman, Luke's right. Luke's got a huge log press, and then some of his other events are really good. I think deadlift's his biggest Achilles right now, and then Bishop on a good day is right there, top 2, top 3 in deadlifts. So I mean, man, there's a lot of good guys right now, depending on the day and on the set of events, kind of how it favors guys.
So I got a question for you.
Yep.
It's come out that there's going to be a deadlift ladder at World's Strongest Man this year.
Yep.
So what would be your philosophy, and then who do you think that would help, and who do you think that would hurt? Who do you think is going to smoke it, and who do you think is going to struggle, and why?
Obviously, the best way to go through that is flop grip. So anybody that can go through that with a switch grip, a powerlifting grip, and not strap is going to be the fastest way to go through it. And because I mean, if you saw Felix and I at Masters Worlds, it was a drag race on that deadlift. and Dimitar was pulling fast, but he was having to stop and strap, and it killed his time. So any of the guys that can do that, but I think there's only a few guys that are probably capable of doing that. I think Brian can do it. He's got the grip to do that. Problem with strongman is a lot of guys maybe that came from powerlifting never even done a flop grip. So it's not only just a grip, but opening up that bicep to be comfortable to pull. Especially around an 880, that's going to be a big finisher to pull that switch grip. But that's definitely going to be the best way to go through it, because there's a lot of good deadlifters that will pull all 5 of those. So only going to separate is time. So and to take the time strap, it kills you. So if you can go through it, flop grip, at least if you go through maybe 3 or 4 of them, flop grip is going to be the separator there. So I think guys like Tom, Brian are all capable of doing that flop grip and going through fast. And then there's some other guys like Bobby and Evan could probably do flop grip. He's got a good grip. But some of those other guys, I think they might be too tight to open up the bicep to turn, and might not have the grip to do it. Because pull 5 of those, you're going to have a good grip, because your grip's going to start going. Those are 5 heavy pulls. Especially time you get that 80 and you're already fatigued. 880s on a flop grip, there's not too many guys can do that anyways. And then to do that on the 5th rep is going to be tough. But there's a few guys I believe can do that, and I definitely, I think that probably favor Shaw, honestly, Shaw or Tom.
That's that's going to be an interesting event.
I lost my mic.
I can hear. We can still hear. We can still hear, brother. Every time you pump that ear, we can hear you moving it around, so we can still hear you. Can you hear us? I guess not.
I can't hear nothing, guys. Hold on.
All right. Well, I guess he'll be back in a second. So I guess moving into the next question, brother. So we went through the top 5 current. Talk to us about top 5 of all time.
All time. You got to put Savickas, Shaw, Kazmaier. I think Kazmaier can still plug into later eras if he trained the way, this era trained, he would get to that level, Odie Wilson, definitely in there. Odie, I think, is still one of the strongest guys not to win World Strongest Man. You know, I believe
what a beast he was, huh?
Oh man, yeah. And you know, I don't know about absolute strength, but for being a very efficient would be Magnus, because Magnus was a very efficient strong man.
Oh yeah.
You know, not
Sorry, guys.
statically the strongest, but efficient wise, like he was good at all the events, and he could still hang with the really strong guys to keep points.
Yeah.
You know, and then to dominate on the events he knew he could dominate on. So I think he's definitely in on that list too. Yeah, that's a tough list to fill, because there's a lot of great strongmen on there, but I think definitely those guys belong in that top 5.
Now totem pole those 5. Give them their first, second, third place in the top 5.
Come on. You put me on the spot, huh, Josh?
but we're talking about a guy who has been at the top for a long time. He's got a vantage point that most people will never see. So to hear his opinion is really interesting to the average
if you put
man.
him at the best, I think you probably got Savickas, Shaw, Odie, Kazmaier, Magnus, probably somewhere in that order. I mean, because some of those guys, it's hard to rate them in the top 5 because the events were so different.
So different,
at the time, because obviously the weights that, Savickas and Shaw hit in their era are way different from what Magnus and, Kaz and Odie had. But I believe Odie and Kaz would have adapted to this era fine, as strong as they were.
I'll agree with that.
Funny enough, brother, your top 5 of all time was very similar to Zydrunas. We had him on, and he named off pretty much the same list for all time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now we're going to take you back one step. Now you got to totem pole the current competitors in top 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
1, 2, 3. Well, based on the last few, you put Brian Martins, Tom, Novikov. I'm still going to put JF in there just because, of the last, few shows, he was right up there, and then Shaw.
Yeah. I mean, there's so, like you said earlier, so many good guys, so many good guys. So
yeah, and just depending on the events, because you have more of a Giants Live World style events, set of guys for that. If you have an old Terry Todd Arnold, there's a different set of events, guys for that.
Yep.
So it would twist a little bit on the events. They're more athletic and lighter or higher reps versus just all out heavy, strong, static. Different set of guys for that.
For sure.
Yeah.
It's kind of interesting because you can't not even remotely pick who the top 5 or top 10 are going to be at World's Strongest Man until you know what the events are.
Yeah.
It's that big of a difference because I mean you can sit here and go, okay, well it's going to be Brian, it's going to be the Stoltman brothers, it's going to be Jerry, it's going to be, but then they put the events out, and then you have a 275-pound anvil, which is really fast, so the guys that are quick are going to do good, and a yoke that's not quite 1,000 pounds, so it's also going to be really fast as your first event. Well, your top 5 is going to be completely different, whereas if it was a 400-pound sandbag and a 1,300-pound yoke, it's going to be completely different. So until they do that, it's next to impossible to really give a prediction. It's all kind of like who you like until they announce the events.
Yeah. Yeah. You look at the 20 there, Novikov winning, like you were talking, the anvil 960 something yoke. If that had been a 1,300-pound yoke, Shaw would have won it.
Yep.
The events. Yeah, it's because it could sway, one way or the other.
Yeah. Any given day, baby. Any given day can be different.
Yeah. And just certain guys who just favor different stuff. Like you get something under 1,000 pounds, you know, guys like Novikov and Ferris, you know, they're hard to catch. You know, they are.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And there's a guy that
take it up to 11, 12, 1300. You know, I think, you know, Shaw, myself, that we're going to, you know, be better on it. It's just, you know, it's just, you know, it's just two different things, you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
We have the lighter events.
Absolutely. So
I like the heavier because I think there's more separation. Instead of having, you know, 10 drag races, we'll see a little separation, you know.
Yeah. Well, it's more exciting. It's more exciting when a handful of people don't finish, you know, and then you finally got that, oh my God, somebody did it. That makes it for an exciting show.
Yeah. You know? Well, then you can see who won it, right? It's not down just to a stopwatch or how fast a guy hit a stopwatch because it's a drag race.
Yeah.
You know, it's heavy. You know who won it, you know, who was second, who was third. Yeah. Just by watching it.
Yeah.
Well, it's also world's strongest man. It's not world's fastest man. So
exactly.
But they've been doing that from the jump way back when we were talking about O.D. Wilson a little while ago. You know, that last event. Okay, well let's put a heavy backpack on and run them around a goddamn track. It was so easy to manipulate back in those days. You know.
Yeah. Just say right before the event that we don't want you to win. just saving the trip around the track. Just we're gonna give it to John Paul.
That's it. I love it.
But
so in terms of up and comers, you know, obviously you were there, and one of the things that you displayed in your stories was basically just find a way to get it done. Outside of that piece of advice, what would you say to the young up and comers? Because there's a lot of listeners that are, you know, diehard competitors trying to, you know, claw their way to the top. What advice do you give to these listeners?
I tell them, all the young guys, do every comp that you can do, because you'll learn something about yourself, and it'll make you better. Because every one you will just learn more and more. Like, oh, I need to work on that. I need to work on that. You know, and that's every one I did was like that. Every amateur show, when I did the first Fit Expo, I remember going. It was 2 days. First day, I felt great. I was okay. I wasn't great. I was tied for 7th with Szymanski going into day 2. We go into day 2. I felt like shit because I hadn't done a 2-day heavy show like that, and everybody else was doing this, and I want to go home. And I'm like, okay. Now I know what to work on. I got to get better.
Yeah.
You know?
That was a good day.
So, yeah, they kicked ass that day.
I won that show that day.
Yeah, kicked ass.
That's great advice,
but, you know,
brother.
I mean, you know, Nick, coming up, like you learn as you go. You know?
Oh yeah, 100%.
It makes you better. You will either it'll break you or you'll learn from it and get better. You know, and I just learned from it. I go, okay. You know, I remember the first nationals I did, it was like an 850 yoke. I wrapped my knees, and it was the worst 60 feet of my life. And I was like, okay, now I know what I got to work on. You know, I zeroed a 280 log. All right, I got to get my overhead up. So I got to work on this. You know, the next day, I got up to that first, you know, show at the Fit Expo. Day 2, I was shit. I felt like hell. I'm like, okay, I got to get better. I got, you know, no matter what you did day 1, you still got to come out and push hard day 2. You know.
Conditional.
But the more shows, you won't know that until you go out and do the shows. And we just had this conversation about the other day about these guys that, you know, quickly turn pro, and unfortunately it does them a kind of a disservice because they need all these shows to get better and you know, grow and you know, learn. And if they quickly turn pro, they can't do anything. They can do ASM, you know. So it really kind of almost does some of them a disservice. And then when they do get a shot to go to Giants Live or something like that, they're really pretty novice because they haven't done that many shows. You know, so if they go have a bad performance, they go, they're shit. Well, they're not shit. They just haven't learned yet. You know, they can be great, but they haven't had enough shows to really, you know, learn. You know, so it's important. You got to just go compete.
That's great advice, brother. That's great advice because a lot. I know this younger generation. You know, they're a different breed when you get down to some of the coming up, and it's almost like fear becomes something that doesn't motivate them. It almost dissuades them from taking that step that you just described. So for all you listening, take that fear and use it as a motivator to get out there and start competing. That's great advice, brother.
Yeah.
You know,
they get me free and lose all the damn excuses. You know, I'm not ready. I need more time. Just go do it.
Yeah.
Just go do it.
Yeah.
You'll find out if you weren't ready. Go do it. And be able to live with some humility that you're not going to dominate everything you do. Go learn. It'll make you better. It'll break you or make you better. And if it breaks you, then you weren't meant to do it anyway. So
true.
Yeah.
Lesson learned.
That's it. I love it. All right, brother. So check this out. You get a chance to get into a time machine. You can program any date, anytime you want. You get to go back and give yourself one piece of advice. Where do you go? What going back in your life? Where are you going to talk to the younger version of yourself? What are you going to say?
Oh man, which younger version?
Well, you got one shot in this time machine. So what's going to be the most potent? Yeah, one shot. So what's going to be the most helpful?
Actually, I'd probably go back to if I could, be interesting to go back to probably 18, 19, 20, somewhere in there. And what if I just started Strongman then? What I would have done? It would have been interesting. But being said, I have loved being a part of the era that I've been a part of because I believe this is the heaviest, much heavier than it would have been back then, So, it would be cool to start then, because as, coming out of football and my strength level then, and it would have been interesting what I would have done, that was starting that much younger in a strongman. But then like I said, then by now I probably would have been done, and it wouldn't have been a part of this era and how heavy it's gotten. And I love it. So
you would have basically just gone and told the young Jerry Pritchett start earlier.
Yeah. Strongman, definitely. Yeah. Strongman. Because I'm curious what I would have done, if I'd have been introduced to it then.
Yeah. Well, then just like you're saying, you'd have started competing when you were that much younger, and you'd have had that much more experience, that much more development, But then obviously there's the flip side. Then those hips may have been given loose a little earlier.
There's a flip side, I'd probably been done by now, So there's a flip to it. So
everything happens for a reason, but it's always kind of fun to talk about, I love it.
Yeah.
Well, brother, we've had you here for a little more than an hour. We appreciate your time. But one question before we go. You are literally one of the biggest, baddest men on the planet. And for anybody that's never met you, when you shake Jerry's hand, you get a clear idea of how big he is. When his fingers are touching you about mid-forearm, you get the real grip of what a large man this guy is. So you're a legend in the sport. You're still here, but there's going to be a time when the physical part of you is gone. What legacy do you want to leave behind? What do you want to be remembered for?
There's some still stuff I want to accomplish before I'm done. I want to stand at podium at Worlds, and I still want another good run at that deadlift record. So those are two big ones that I want to leave before I'm done. So that's one thing. Body's a little beat up. We're letting it heal up right now, which is fine. But that fire is still hotter than ever. So, and I that's two big things that I want before I'm done.
Very cool.
I think you're good.
Yeah. Sometimes backing up a little bit to, lick some wounds and get healed up is all you need to step back in, bigger, stronger, and you're always smarter for all the obstacles. So
you're always learning. Always learning.
That's it.
Yep. If you're not, you're just naive and dumb. Because you should always be learning. Because it don't matter what age you are, how long you've been doing it, you always learn something.
That's it. That maybe the switch in that deadlift to the more narrow stance is just going to give you an edge when you're able to open your feet back up and get those hips back in there.
Yeah, so, I think I'll probably come somewhere back middle between the narrow and where I was before, and I think it's going to be some really good power.
Yeah, really cool, brother.
Honestly,
really cool
looking at it, you might want to stay there.
Yeah, no, it's come along better than I thought.
Throwing hack squats
a couple weeks ago, and it was like, oh shit, that moved pretty well. So it's coming around pretty well.
Throwing some hack squats.
But a lot of great deadlifters had narrow stance that have just, they just keep getting stronger and stronger. So, with the power you have, you may just keep getting, it may be moving faster and faster to the point where like, hell, I'm going to break the record with my feet together.
It really might just stay. Yeah.
Throw in some hack squats with your feet close together like that.
Yeah.
And start doing heavy hack squats for like sets of 8. That way, like super heavy.
Yeah.
Watch what happens.
Okay.
That explosion that you have coming off the ground will come right back. Except for it won't bother your hips anymore.
Yeah. I'll throw them in.
Make a big difference.
Yeah.
There we go. I love it. Well, brother, it has been an absolute honor to have you on the show. Well, thank you so much. You're, like I said, you're such a huge influence in the sport, and we can't wait for you to come back. I can't wait to see your boy come up. This is going to be really exciting stuff, So that being said, Nick, Ak, do you guys have anything else for Jerry before we sign this baby off?
No, man, it's just been a pleasure, and like John said, I'm looking forward to seeing a lot more of you and your son, because I know he's going to be a beast just like you.
You guys.
Yeah.
And it's great seeing you. I love you, brother. And anytime you want to hang out, train, I can come down there, or you can come up here.
Just make it happen.
Whatever.
Do it.
All right. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Right.
That's why Bob said, I told him I was doing this, and he goes, "Oh, we should be going to Vegas to do this."
You come sit in the garage.
We might have to make a Vegas trip.
How's this, Jerry? Next time you're definitely a set. You're a guest that we're going to invite back. So next time, how about bring Bubba on the show with you? That would be really cool.
That'll work. We'll do that. Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Because then down the road, we'll be having him on as the primary. You'll just be the secondary down the road, I love it. Very cool. Well, there you have it, everyone. There is another edition of Legends of Iron. As always, we're here to inspire you and help you become the best versions of yourself. Had a great show today with our man, Jerry Pritchett, dropping some pearls on you. And hope you enjoyed it. We will see you next time.
Thanks, guys.
Legends of Iron is brought to you by Muscle Mints. Muscle Mint is the creator of Carnivore Pure Beef Protein Icing. Beef builds muscle, and Carnivore is the world's #1 selling beef protein. And don't forget to try our new Carnivore flavor, Rocket Pop.
Oh, damn. Whoa, this is it right here.
Wow, this is protein? Delicious.
This is too good to be protein. Woo, we about to change the game with this one.
You're gonna love it.